When my mother-in-law was cleaning my kitchen for the first time, I thought she was just trying to help me. The third time I realized that it was no help. It was control. She put things in order without asking, criticized how I cooked, how I cleaned, how I folded laundry, how I talked, how I dressed. Nothing I did was ever right. When I made tea, she remade it. When I was decorating the living room, she silently rearranged it again the next morning, and my husband just said, "That's just how Mom is. Don't take it personally." But it was personal because she did not want to beautify the house. She wanted to banish me from it. She had a key. She came in whenever she wanted. She was sitting in my living room as if I was the guest. She constantly interrupted me when visitors came. When I said something, she corrected me. If I suggested something, she rejected it. Slowly, I stopped talking when she was there. I felt like a shadow in my own home. One evening, she crossed a line that changed everything. I came home from work and found my personal documents, passport, certificates, and files from my drawer in a folder on the dining table. "I've been rearranging your things," she said casually. My hands got really cold. These were not kitchen spoons. These were my private documents. I looked at my husband and waited for him to say something. He said nothing. He just shrugged his shoulders. I didn't cry that night. I did not argue. I didn't complain. I called my father. I hadn't told him much before. I didn't want to worry him. But this time, I told him everything. Every little humiliation, every silent insult, every time I felt pushed out of my own life. There was a long silence on the phone. Then he calmly said, "Do not react, just observe." I didn't understand what he meant, but I trusted him. The following week, my mother-in-law proudly announced that she had spoken to a realtor. "You should move to a smaller apartment," she said. "This house is way too big, a waste of money. I know someone who is interested." I stared at her in confusion. This house did not belong to her. It didn't belong to my husband either. It was registered in my name. A wedding present from my father, which she had never asked about. She had taken control because she thought I didn't have one. She had acquired authority because she thought I had no support. She assumed I was alone. Little did she know that my father had been silently watching the whole time and was about to do something that she would never forget. 2 days after this conversation, my father showed up without letting me know. He did not come angry. He did not storm. "Come in." He came as usual, calm, neatly dressed, and attentive. My mother-in-law greeted him with a rehearsed smile. She assumed he was just another silent relative who would politely nod and leave. She offered him tea. He accepted. He sat down in the living room and slowly looked around, absorbed every detail in himself. Before he could ask anything, she started talking. "You know how young people are?" She laughed softly. "They don't know how to run a house. I have to help her with everything. Otherwise, this house will fall apart." My father did not interrupt her. He listened. She continued. "I even told them to sell the house. It's too expensive. You can move into something smaller. I have already talked to a realtor." My father carefully put down his teacup. Then he asked a simple question. "Which house should you sell?" She smiled. "This one, of course." He nodded slowly. "Which is registered in the name of my daughter." Her smile froze. Silence spread in the room. My husband looked confused. "What's your opinion?" My father turned to him. "This house was a wedding present for my daughter. The title deed, the land register, the tax documents, everything runs in your name. Not yours. Not your mother's." I was able to witness live how my mother-in-law's facial expression changed. At first, her self-confidence faded, then her face color, and finally the authority that she had been broadcasting for months evaporated like smoke. She tried to catch herself. "Oh, I didn't know that." She never said anything. My father looked at her calmly. "She shouldn't have done that." He wasn't loud. He was not rude, but every word had weight. Then he continued. "I also know that she gave a spare key. That's over today." He turned to me. "Change the locks." My husband finally spoke up. "Dad, isn't that a bit exaggerated? Mom just wanted to help." My father looked at him. "Helping does not mean moving someone else's documents without permission. Helping does not mean planning the sale of a house that does not belong to you. Helping does not mean treating someone like a guest in their own home. My husband did not know the answer. Months passed, and the house felt different. Not because the walls had changed, but because the air in them had changed. I was finally able to breathe again without feeling observed, judged, or corrected. My mother-in-law was still coming to visit, but now she was knocking. She asked before touching anything. She spoke to me with a courtesy that had never existed before. The control she once radiated had given way to a cautious detachment. One evening she was sitting opposite me and said quietly, "I didn't even realize that I had gone too far." I nodded. I did not disagree. I did not remind her of the past. The change in behavior was enough. My husband had also changed. He listened better. He perceived more. He stood by my side instead of being silent. But the real change took place in me. I no longer felt small in my own home. I no longer doubted myself. Something had become clear to me. Respect does not come from fighting. He arises from knowing his worth and letting the truth speak for itself. My father never raised his voice. He never offended anyone. He just came with calm certainty and facts. And that was more effective than any discussion. She had tried everything to control me. She did not suspect that my strength was never noisy. It was based on quiet self-confidence, clear boundaries, and a father who knew exactly when to intervene. For the first time, he saw what I had been through, not by my words, but by someone else's calm, undeniable clarity. My mother-in-law tried one last time. I just wanted the best for her. My father nodded. Then the best thing you can do is respect boundaries. He got up, came up to me, and pressed a small folder into my hand. In it were copies of all the important documents of the house: title deeds, land registry extract, land tax notices. "I think you should keep these safe," he said gently. That moment changed everything. Not because of the documents, but because the illusion of control finally broke. That evening I called a locksmith. The locks were replaced even before sunset. The spare key that my mother-in-law had been carrying around with her for months was now worthless metal. She did not object. She did not scream. She just sat there and realized that her authority was waning. The next day she no longer came unannounced. The next day she called before. A week later she spoke to me differently, carefully, thoughtfully, and my husband apologized not dramatically, not emotionally, but sincerely. "I hadn't noticed it before," he admitted. "I thought you were exaggerating. Excuse me." I didn't need a long speech. This sentence was enough, because for months I had felt invisible. Now I felt seen. My father did not make a scene. He did not offend anyone. He did not threaten. He was simply speaking the truth. And this truth was stronger than any reasoning. Control only works when the other person feels powerless. The moment this illusion broke, everything changed. My mother-in-law never cleaned my kitchen again, never touched my things again, and never interrupted me again when guests came. She had finally understood something important. I was never the weak one in this house. She just didn't know who was standing silently behind me.
Monsieur,